Thank you, Giovanni.
You're all set.
Have a nice day. Okay. Thank you for tuning in. It's Psychic Frank's Mystery School. I am your host, Psychic Frank. And I'm here at the Bayback Studio for SF Comments on Ninth Street in San Francisco. And it's Saturday. I'm usually here the first and the third Friday at 1. But they rearranged, they had something going on here yesterday. And it just happens that today is where are we? One second, let me September 20th. Yeah, so we got tomorrow is the solar eclipse, the 21st, the new moon, and then the 22nd, Monday, we have the autumnal equinox. So this is eclipse, two eclipses in 1 month, September, and so what's happening is I use numerology and astrology, and the tarot cards. I have them all laid out here for a session there. Um, what's going on numerology wise for the United States of America? We're in a 9 year, see, 2020. Five, and numerology, everything gets reduced to single digits. Excuse me. Single digits. And so 2025 is nine. Things go in a 9 year cycle. So, as I said in a few shows back, as this year began, everything we should be doing in a 9 year, we're not. We're doing the exact opposite. So, but there's a reason for this, obviously. And this October, see, so the United States of America is day and month is 11. Fourth of July, 7 and 4 is 11. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So then we have that. So this is a year has been a year of revelations. Um, the most spiritual of the spiritual 11. It's nothing to do with organized religion. I've always thought organized religion is like bullshit for the masses. All roads lead to Rome. But for all of us on the planet, we're all experiencing this nine energy, nine universal energy, and this October is a 1 month, so we're gonna get um, a taste of what the next 9 year cycle is going to be in October. And then, but I listen to Pam Gregory. She's one of my favorite astrologers. She comes out of the UK. And then there's Molly McCord and Kathy Rose and a whole lot of cool people. I seem to gravitate towards the female. I don't know what that is. Maybe I have a moon in the 12th house. Duh. That's probably it. Okay, so the big event, drum roll, not only is next year going to be a 1 year universally and a 3 year for the United States of America. We're going to see the sprouts come up of the seeds we planted 2 years ago. And there's going to be, excuse me, uh, Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus and Sedna, and all at 0 degrees Aries. So no matter what your sun sign is or whatever, look for your birth chart, and wherever you find 0 degrees, 0 to 2 degrees Aries, that's where you're going to see the most action going on. And I happen to have with me a birth chart of some famous people who are relevant politically, like take Kamala Harris. Uh, I'm looking at her chart. All this energy she has her Mercury, 1 degree Mercury in Scorpio in the fifth house. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, everything else is in the 20s, and I'm going around twice. No, that's it. And as I said, anything from 0 to 1 degree, 2 degrees, no matter what sign. I believe the guides are telling me she's going to communication. She's going to be less into the perfection thing, and she's going to get more real. You know, yeah, because I love her and all that, but I think her biggest blunder was yeah, and let's face it, everybody makes blunders. You know, that's how we grow. Was I think Bernie Sanders practically begged to be side by side to her and McCain, Kin there, Kane, whatever his name was, who I liked, and the teacher. Uh, Kane, I think his name was, but she refused to have him on. Oh, of course, he gratefully accepted his endorsement, but she refused to um, have him on the trail with her. Okay, enough with you, Kamala. And for the United States of America, uh, we have absolutely our Venus is 3 degrees Cancer, so. All this Aries energy is going to be happen. 1 degree is the very bottom of our chart, the nadir they call it, and it's going to be 0 degrees Aries energies, all in our third house of isn't that funny? Self-expression and communication, expressing ourselves. I think the new order, the new deal coming in, the new earth, it's not going to be a physical earth, it's going to be a frequency, it's going to be a consciousness of the new earth, and it's going to definitely include self-expression. Because right now you got to express yourself, you know, like there's braces on our brains collectively, not mine. I wouldn't deal with it. Okay, so that's it. And then what other people do we have here? Because I thought this. Well, that's that. But don't go anywhere. Like Pence isn't relevant anymore. Oh, here's Donald Trump. Now all this Aries energy, 0 degrees Aries energy, is going to be taking place in his eighth house. I think he has the asteroid Juno, 6 degrees Aries. I'm looking around for any planet 0 degrees, and I don't see anything there. I don't see any planets or aspects 0 degrees Aries. But all these planets are going to be in his house of 0 degrees Aries. Uh, in opposition to his Neptune in the second house. Of all oppositions, second house, eighth house are the most intense. It's the most that people go, oh, I can't stand to watch this. Yeah, because that's the rough roads. Because it's all about what's yours is you, what's property, money, possessions, second house stuff, and eighth house is death, rebirth, and transformation. So yeah, this should be very interesting because Donald Trump's also his day and month reduced to 1 digit is 11, like the United States of America. And this year there was a many and they're still going on because this year's still got some months in it. It's still going. It has that revelation energy going on for it because it is an 11 month for the United States of America, and uh, and then next month, for good or for bad, whatever your karma you might have sown, you're going to be reaping it because next month we're going to see in the United States and, as it were, Donald J. Trump, uh, the seeds that you planted 2 years ago. We're going to see some sprouts coming up of that in that 3 year in Donald Trump's. Let me see. Yeah, I'm looking for where Pluto is, what's going on with Pluto. Yeah, Pluto's going to go retrograde, but not back into Capricorn, but it's going to be rocking steady in Aquarius. So it's going to be, I don't think Donald Trump will be alive in around 10 years or 8 years when Pluto is opposition to his Mars, because he's deteriorating before our very eyes. Okay, Michael Cohen, we're not interested in him. Yeah, he's a nice guy. Albert Stein, Albert Einstein. Oh, here it is. Uh, oh, whoop, 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 Oh yeah, Elon Musk I thought is interesting because he has a Saturn 1 degree Aquarius, a Gemini in the 11th house, in opposition to his Pluto 1 degree Sag. So we're going to see with like 5 planets on his doing this number, aspecting one way or another, that say Saturn is uh, something's going on with him being in control. He's I'll see. I'll pick the cards afterwards on that. But for right now, that's going to be momentous for him, especially with because it's in the 11th house. It's going to be with what he creates in his place in the community. I think we're all going to get the cosmic message. My guides are telling me that the universe, with these cigar-shaped observers, they're not any. They're extraterrestrials, and they're here to observe us. They've been here since from the gate, since the cavemen. So these one mind observers, are going to send this very advanced civilization, species. I don't know what you're going to call it. Ruli Giuliani, he's got nothing zero, nothing. Oh yeah, his Neptune 1 degree Libra in the first house. Neptune does rule booze, high, all kinds of altered states of consciousness. So, oh yeah, his very being is going to be aspected because all this Aries energy is happening in his first house, and he was born in Aries, and a rather opposite. Aries is in his seventh house. Once again, karma. Welcome to the Karma Cafe. There are no menus, but you get what you deserve. We talked about Kamala. Well, that's about it. I'll pick up some more because I have a drawer full of charts, and little by little, because we have a long time between now, because it's all going to happen February 26th around there and into the summer. Okay, so, I wanted to talk about our mayor, because, what we got, it's sort of like, I know there's a lot of heroes out there. Let me just get my head in order now. The liquor industry was the cannabis, legalizing cannabis's biggest enemy. They went on and on about when we were working on getting Proposition 215 passed to legalize cannabis, and then there was that 2 year bureaucratic masturbation before we actually got the mess we have now where cannabis harm reduction is gone. Cannabis harm reduction is gone. And there's no way with this. What's the exact word for our mayor Daniel Laurie? Because the more I listen to him on the news with his little latest deal, how he's going to deal with Reaganism ruined everything. Reaganomics. When you see everything in the Tenderloin and on the freeway ramps, the homeless, this is the results of the experiment called Reaganomics. So, as I said, the war on poverty has become the war on the poor now. And then he must be friends with that San Jose mayor. Even Barbara Lee, God bless her, they stuck a microphone in front of her face before she even won the election and asked her where she stood on the cannabis issue. And she looked right at the camera, God bless her heart, and she said, it should never have been legalized in the first place. But but as I could see now, okay, so let's tell it like it is. Let's tell it like it is. Okay, Daniel Laurie. Oh, okay. The lure of the distant and the difficult is deceptive. John Burroughs said that. The great opportunity is where you are. And Voltaire, God bless Voltaire, Vive la France. Those who can make you believe in absurdities can make you commit atrocities. Ha ha ha. This book, Snafu. I lent it to my neighbor. It's by Helms, and it's short for snafu. uh, Situation normal colon everything effed up. Laurie wants to build the highest building in this in I don't know, on the West Coast on a fault. We live on fault lines, and the tonnage alone, like I anybody with half a brain, aren't there's got to be some scientists out there that's oh, it could take a lot. How do you know? It's a fracture in the earth, and when you put more weight, tonnage, we're talking tonnage and tonnage and tonnage on this. I think instead of calling it a snafu, California will be in the ocean, what's left of it, and Nevada will be oceanfront property. As I said, there were 12 people giving Daniel Laurie. He's what's called a venture capitalist. You know, it's sort of like after you know, you know, I guess it started with Feinstein and ended with London Breed, and London Breed wasn't going to pussyfoot around. She just pulled the plug and took an axe to all these departments that noise pollution, all of housing. It could go on and on and on, but I don't want to have a few minutes here on to I don't know. I wish the FBI would find out how much money she made on what. So after this, so after she totally smashed and grabbed everything and so made the homeless condition like Ed Lee said before he died. I we must get rid of the homeless. Yeah, yeah, shoot them, Gestapo. So I see Ed Gore. Laurie's proposals, and I go, this is beyond despicable. This is gory Laurie. Yeah. So there's 12 people giving him 100K. That's 1,000K is 1,000, right? To Daniel's, yeah. So that's what $1,200,000. So it's funny because he accepts no zero, $1 for his service. Well, wouldn't that be like, how could you even look at yourself in the mirror? You already raped us with no lube, Oh, and it's just starting now. So for all of us healers out there who were hoping that he would stand up to the liquor industry, but now who knows? His buddy now, Wiener, he wanted to keep the bars open later, so he's bought and paid for by the liquor industry. I can't prove that, but I'm not stupid. Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. So and now, yeah, like in her infinite stupidity and ignorance, London Breed would call the what did she call it? Vitalization. It's vital vibrancy. She called it vibrancy. I call it loud. I call it painfully loud. Like in Hayes Valley now, there's no more noise commission. Oh yeah, it's no more noise pollution. Now the entertainment commission gives permits to this going on. And Hayes Valley, it's a valley, it's a canyon. And there's this German outdoor bar that on a whim will have like just the other day. It was like Sunday afternoon. I had my windows open, enjoying a wonderful afternoon, and all of a sudden I was like, excuse me, 3 blocks away was a tent, no, right across the street from my apartment building on Hayes Valley, a 10-piece German pa brass band. I swear to God on a cross, I'm not making this up. So as I said, uh, people in my neighborhood work, a nice neighborhood, and people work 3 jobs, 2 jobs they work their asses off to pay these rents. It's not Nob Hill rents. It's everybody all over the city. We're paying Nob Hill rents, and then on the weekend you want to even sit in Patricia Green Park. When that park opened up, I think it was Mayor David. I was going to say David Niven. What's his name? David. The mayor, the governor, shook my hand. Gavin Newsom, and I looked around and I said, I pointed to this blot and I said, this is going to be a nightmare for the residents of the city. And he said, no, the police are going to keep on top of it, Frank. Well, Gavin Newsom, they're not. here's an information message from Hayes Valley. Remember me, the hippie who shook your hand and told you, pointed to all the noise, all the possibility. We have to deal enough with the freeway and the traffic and the trucks coming from the peninsula up through Fell Street. So now we have on top of it a bar that thinks they own the neighborhood, and they get permit. I know they don't have a permit, and they actually when I had the during that same period. When he even gave me people to get in touch with, Gavin, thank you. And they all said, Frank, one complaint and we're going to shut him down. Well, 10 years, what is how many years later now? No, it's in the hope of it getting shut down or at least reined in is, and it's not just happened. I have friends that live south of Market. You can't, you go to these fairs, you can't even talk to anyone anymore. Maybe perhaps that's the message there, you know. I don't even, people my age don't go anywhere. Why bother? And if you see people, it's like, wow, I can't hear you. It's ridiculous. And people who live in that area usually, if they can, leave the city there. So anyway, remind me when Dianne Feinstein, when she was mayor, then whatever, she her second husband Bloom was a venture capitalist, and he actually wanted to spend all of her name and clout. He married up to get the post office privatized, and he was launching this. I think he actually started doing it, buying all these post offices in Oakland and all that area, and it was a real big scandal. And I think Diane said, "Oh no, no, you're not going to tread. You're not going to tread." I think she put her foot down there and put him in his place, and he died in 22. But I think this. There's been a lot of venture capitalists now. I said, and this is just like after London Breed took an axe to this city, finished off what started actually years ago. Uh, with this war on the poor, uh, is now, of course, the rats and the rats and the roaches come on in for the kill. Uh, Remember that the Last Poets in Memo from Turner, the Mick Jagger movie in '72, and that nightstick it glides gracefully upside your head, by your lips struggle to taste the last drop of wine from the wine bottle. And those are the Last Poets. I went to a concert on the Last Poets. It was on the Lower East Side in the Alphabet around that time because I lived on 11th Street between First and Second. So this was like C and D, where like people would disappear. Yeah, but wake up, and yeah, as I said, yeah. So the rats and the roaches are talking about how the Big Apple's out of sight when you ain't never had a bite. Who are you fooling? Wake up, y'all through, and as they said. And then I love that line. And now the rats and the roaches move on in for the kill. Yeah, this is what we got now. The vulture capitalists. There was another vulture capitalist who wanted to ran against Lori, but he couldn't match her. And he's beholden now. The dude's beholden. So I guess he's going to take us off the St. Andreas Fault now by building this. We got to stop the son of a gun. We got to slap him and say, snap out of it, like Cher in Moonstruck. He's Nicolas Cage now. Okay, okay, you're mayor, It's like, I got to repeat this because, his wife, as I said, he deceived, being deceptive, that's what hurts the most. And I saw him running, and I guess I was like, London breed whipped. I was just like anything's gotta be there. She's gotta be the bottom of the bottom. But oh, was I wrong? I didn't see the venture capitalist thing coming. But it's here now. I believe me, they're like that with organ. They're not gonna go against the pharmaceutical industrial complex. Now, San Francisco has a shanty. It's got a vibration since after World War II and probably long before then when the Indians were here, where people would come here for a different lifestyle. People that fell through the cracks in all the crap states. This was it after World War II when a lot of guys got in touch with their homos, bisexuality, and women. With San Francisco, my favorite city, where the women are strong and the men are pretty. And then, as I said, after the AIDS epidemic, who I don't know what happened along the way. I like this: a bad attitude is like a flat tire. You can't go anywhere until you change it. When did hate become a family value? When did peace become un-American? When did ignorance become admirable? Yeah, I gotta mention this before we get on to anything else. Charlie Frisk, whatever that guy's name was there, the one that was assassinated. I'm a non-violent hippie. I'm a total non-violent, died in this, hippie, hippie, hippie. Uh, and it's as I said, the role of anger. This principle does not say there is not a role for anger. The idea that nonviolence is about teaching people not to be angry is another common misconception. Dr. King was one of the most pissed off people of his time. He was angry about racism, poverty, war, and materialism. There is plenty in this world that we need to be angry about. Yet anger can be dangerous too. It's like fire. It can manifest as a forest fire, dangerous, out of control, burning down everything in its path. It can also manifest in the form of charcoal, harnessed to stainly focused. It can be used strategically to cook food or to keep you warm. Similarly, anger is the form of rage that can be anger is the form of rage that can be dangerous and out of control, burning down everything in its path. But I believe there's a type of anger that is deeply disciplined, sustained, and in control. Dr. King often spoke of religious indignation, quote unquote. This is the type of anger that is sparked when we witness human dignity being threatened. This is a type of anger that can be cultivated, channeled in the right direction to protect life against the forces of injustice. Rage towards individuals can be harmful and dangerous, like in Charlie Kirk's case. It can hurt both parties, it can widen divisions between people and communities, it can move us further away from the beloved community. But indignation towards systems of violence and their impact can help liberate all people who are caught up in these closed systems. Another way to look at anger is to ask is use anger as a spark rather than a fuel. Ah, I dig that. Spark rather than a fuel. You know, a participant at a workshop once said that the goal isn't to react from anger, but to use it to fuel a loving response. Anger can be helpful as it motivates and cultivates a thoughtful response, but only if it controls you and doesn't cause unskilled reactions. Yeah, so it's all make no none of this about casting any judgment for outward expressions of pure rage from people who have been genuinely hurt or historically marginalized. Expressions of rage are perfectly natural responses to nonviolence and justice, but channel this. So as I said, I was looking at, if somebody in your neighborhood was brought their son or daughter or child an automatic weapon, and was telling them the stuff. His daughters were too young to have uh, Charlie Frisk there, to have guns and rifles there. His wife knew better, and he just spewed, like the guy who shot him said, the kid who shot him said, was just too much hate. There's just a point where you go, there's just too much. And as I said, if this was happening to anybody, you'd call welfare. You would hope that, if this happened when I was coming up in the 50s, child services would come and put them in a foster home. I don't know, nowadays with the Christian nationalists now, when did this become a Christian nation? Yeah, there's a lot of Christians in this nation. There's a lot more assholes in this nation, but we don't call ourselves an asshole nation. Well, the world does now. So as I said, in a way, I'm not. not condoning or anything. I'm just saying, at least those little girls now stand a chance. They stand a chance to grow up and say, God, my father was sick. My biological father was a twisted soul. Maybe they'll get into psychoanalysis. Maybe they'll make a discovery to find out what happens in these people's brains when they join a cult based on, thrives on murder, violence, rape, murder. That's what's going on now. It's like, give me shelter. When okay, I'm thinking of who's that song "Gimme Shelter" with Mick Jagger, uh, the woman in the background screaming. I know what's her name. It's on the tip of my tongue. No, Mary Clayton. Meri, Mary Clayton, rape, murder. I remember a couple of years ago, it was a foggy morning, and I had to get up to the Haight for something, and it was right when all this stuff was going on, one more, and I got off the 7 Haight, and it stopped right at Masonic, and there was this clothes store, and I guess because the fog and the acoustics, and they were blasting that song, "Give Me Shelter," and Mary Clayton's voice all over that area of the Hay Street was going, "Hey, rape, murder, it's just a shot away." So these kids have to be taught. Somebody has to call them and tell them, this is shit, this is shinola. You gotta hate the shit, you gotta kill the shit. No, every human being is it's a whirlpool of individuality, of creativity. Like when Mayor Gory Laurie was saying, or used creativity. Yeah, the fact, how good can you eat? Like Jack Nicholson said in Chinatown when he found out that Angelica Houston's father, the horrible villain in the movie, was poisoning all the reservoirs to make money in LA or something like that. And he finally, when he puts it all together and his nose is split from a gangster, putting a knife in it. Yeah, it's called Chinatown, a good movie. Jack Nicholson, best movie he ever made. Anyway, and he finally says to the old guy, how well can you eat? How good can you eat? Gory, Dory, whatever your name is, Lori. You insulted. There's so many people out there, doctors, lawyers, healers of all kinds, who went through a dark night of the soul. What you're seeing now, walking over and being obtuse about, this, did you ever stop to say, by the grace of God, this could be me? How would I like to be treated like this? This one guy's walking around in Hayes Valley the other day. I thought he was wearing shoes or something. No, his skin was so black and white guy, but his skin was so black and hard and hadn't been bathed in months. This is what's going on in your city now, and you're living it up. Let's live it up. Bring it. You've got a cash register where your heart ought to be, and you got dollar signs for pupils. If you see anybody whisper, your mother put you in a boarding school for boys. There's got to be some kind of a psychic wound there. When most kids were, trying out pot, getting laid in the back of the YMCA, fooling around in the backseat of cars, whatever. Well, we don't forget there's a 30-year difference between you and me, Lori. But, whatever we were doing during that age, you weren't. There got to be years and years of bent up resentment. And then I guess you and your brothers now are who's going to outdo the mother of being the, billionaire, it's all going to change, honey, for everybody. And in a couple of years, you're going to have Pluto conjuncting your sun. So I'm just giving you, I'm not saying you better do this for your sake of your eternal soul, man. Get some empathy going. Give peace a chance. Give cannabis harm reduction a chance. There's a whole lot of us who threw in the towel. Many of us ran away, but they could be summoned back. All you have to do is say, let them breathe, and start with getting the noise pollution under control, and get the hands of who's ever giving out these permits out of the hands of this new entertainment commission, because they're giving it to the highest business bidder. And the only reason I could see why, after all these years since I shook Gavin Newsom's hand and he swore to me the police were going to shut down any noise that was going from that place, and they tell me now there's not graft going on. There's not the police department getting their hand greased with some $20 bills or whatever. It's the only thing that makes sense why they weren't given one citation. One hefty citation would maybe make them think twice before they get a 10-piece German band going on for hours everybody in Hayes Valley were talking about, I don't know how this happened. It's nothing to do with the Germans. I know I was good, I would say the same thing. I think if it was Latinos, they'd be more respectful. The black community, I don't know what it is about this one place there. It's called the Beer Garden. I maybe it's a German nationalist of the worst kind, because if you watch on PBS, they did a special on Hitler, and he had this a mountain retreat in the Alpine called something garden, and this course is it's not even spelled like beer, like it's Bier, So I'm just saying, yeah, I have pride from I associate with the gay community, so I have a lot of gay pride. I found out recently I'm not Italian. My DNA, my adopted parents lied to me. Anyway, so now I've got Greek pride, I've got Spain pride, and my father was Norwegian, so I've got Baltic pride. So I'm finding out, life is for learning now. So forget wherever you find 0 degrees Aries on your chart, that's where you're going to have Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, Sedna, and a few other interesting things going on there. And it's going to be a universal 1 month. And events that are happening only happen thousands and thousands of years. Like the conjunction of Saturn and Neptune. You could Google up Pam Gregory, British astrologer, UK astrologer. She has a wonderful hour on the Saturn Neptune conjunction. And then look for 0 degrees Aries. And that, if this, but wait, there's more. If that wasn't enough, I mean, paradigms are changing. I believe something's, well, we'll see what the cards say. I have a whole spread here. Okay, so yes, we're coming up on the autumnal equinox, 11:19 a.m. 1 second, please. Clean, you all clean fresh water. You don't miss your water till the well runs dry. It's like everything we hippies got knocked around for, literally. It's all where we are now. We were right. Let's start giving us some credit now. There's not many of us left. So so on the Pacific coast now, the sun enters Libra, 11:19, Monday, September 22nd. The Earth axis is not tilted toward, away, or from the sun, resulting in a nearly equal day and night. So that should be an interesting time to do a tarot card reading for yourself around 11 o'clock, 11:20 tomorrow. And then the solar eclipse on the new moon on the 21st. That's today. Oh, yeah. Okay, 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 yeah, okay, we got that out of the way. Venture capitalists, or sometimes called, I call them vultures. The vulture capitalists now. Forget about harm. Liquor now. WWW, the World Health Organization now retracted what they said a few years ago that it was a half a cup of alcohol or wine, and then followed by 3 glasses of water was safe. No, they crashed that all. Zero, goose egg, nada, no alcohol on any amount is no way at all good for any human body. And then they listed coronary. The list was like, so instead of, loving people and wanting them to remember, like I said, the soul needs a human body for the sake of your soul. And believe me, Western medicine doesn't believe in the soul. They don't believe you have a soul. You believe you only live once. That's why when people, even that the guy on Let's Make a Deal, I like him so much, and he keeps on going, "You only live once. You wish, you wish." No way, man. This is Earth School. Uh, okay. Yeah, San Francisco has a unique nature that attracts people like me, people that fell through the cracks, like healers now. All kinds of all kinds of. That reminds me. Here's this book, Mind Over Medicine. Ah, okay. I knew there was something I wanted to get to. Okay, she's a very interesting woman, young lady who's a doctor who was raised by a doctor. And she says here, natural forces within us are the true healers of disease. Hippocrates, Hippoc, Hippocrates said that. You know, and then she goes on and on. She goes, I spent nearly a decade studying with shamans in Peru, God, Hill masters in China, Hawaii, Kauana, kahunas, gurus from the East, and all that. I visited sacred sites, and she really talks a lot about everything here. She even mentions Norman Cousins, who I adore, who laughed himself free from cancer. And they made a joke of his life now and everything he did back then. He's a true pioneer in mind over matter, and it's just full of this great stuff now. And she talks about acupuncture and all the placebo effect and this fact after fact, but she doesn't have one mention of cannabis. You know, and so as I said, she's young, and I couldn't believe she went to all these places, had all these experiences. She, you know, words probably get around. Oh yeah, she's a total square. She's not thinking outside the box. I mean, she's come a long way from her father. Her father was a real prick. You know, he was one of those guys who gives you death sentences. You know, dosing yourself with pleasure, memorable experiencing, laughter, sensual touch, music, art, nature, and a heaping helpful of fun and play can help you ride out the rough patches, while wellness, injury, or trauma can help you build up your pain tolerance. You'll need to ramp up your pleasure tolerance just as much. So don't be shy about dialing up the yum. You know, she's got a lot of that bird, you know, Shirley Feeney healing bubble stuff going on. But for the most part, she's doing nothing nobody else can say. She's saying the whole health Karen, the great majority of us are required to live a life of constant systematic duplicity. Your health is bound to be affected if one day after day you say the opposite of what you feel. If you grovel before what you dislike and rejoice at what brings you nothing but misfortune, our nervous system just isn't a function, fiction. Our nervous system isn't just a fiction, rather, it's part of our physical body, and our soul exists exists in space and is inside of us like teeth in our mouths. It can be forever violated and impungent. Yeah, you know, so she's come a long way now, but I'm telling you, healing myself, as I said, I was a heavy tobacco smoker. I started smoking, I'm not proud of it, tobacco at 12. And then by the time I was, after I quit, you know, had my out of body experience and got clean from all the pharmaceuticals and everything. I said I'm going to get rid of the tobacco, and boy, that was hard. And I couldn't even walk up 3 flights of steps without huffing and puffing. I knew it would kill me, and something inside of me told me I could barely eat then. And I was scrubbing floors to keep my dog and myself alive and living in people's garages. And but I knew if I did smoked weed every time I wanted a cigarette, um, I get through it. And you know, a couple of years later, I had no more. I mean, of course, didn't smoke any more tobacco, but I started smoking less weed and all that. Anyway, up to the future now. Just a few years ago, the doctor who did cataract surgery on me, they did have this new machine now. They don't put drops in your eyes, and it does stuff that other test couldn't do. And they showed me pictures of the back of my eyes, and then they had a 2 hour conference with all the specialists of macrodegenerative eye disease from which there's no cure and you go blind. And he said to me, "You're not going to go blind." After a 2 hour conversation with the leaders in this field, our advice to you. Now, he couldn't say, don't give up cannabis, because I guess he has to cover his ass. Of course, in this sue me, sue you world, you know, they got to watch, I don't know. But he did point to my cannabis pen, my vape pen in my pocket, and he said, don't quit that. And then I said, thank you. And I haven't been back, you know. Okay, let's do some cards here now. Yeah, so it's a great book, Mind Over Medicine by Lissa Rank, Rankin, MD. uh, if you go to my email address, that's my YouTube channel, and I'll upload this show, and then I'll have it listed on the bottom there. And I mean, it's wonderful, all full of wonderful stuff. uh, the prescription for job stress. I mean, she goes on and on and on, lists all these amazing, and also, but she somehow just gets right through the helpful, the wonderful thing, cannabis. Like I said, back in the Nixon administration, he ordered that he swore to the public he was going to get to the bottom of this, and he ordered the best minds in the medical field to do this exhaustive, expensive research on the cannabis, marijuana, toxic, what do they call it, a gateway drug. Wonder Breed, I guess, believe that. No, these people's ass is a gateway drug, but that's another story. So anyway, I'm just so mad. I'm just so angry so I've been wanting this since the '60s, and then I had all this hope that, well, they say not getting what you want when you want it is all what it's all about. So I'm not getting what I want, and I'm not taking it quiet. Of course. So anyway. Oh yeah, I told the last time I was here about '69 when I was off Broadway working. I had an agent at the Sardi's penthouse I worked there as a mailboy for a big producer. I had use of a chauffeur to do errands, and I was working up Broadway and doing. I had an agent who was actually getting me gigs. I'm being typed a lot because I was, almost 20 and I still look really young. But anyway, I was people advised I check out this bar up, a gay bar up by Park Avenue in the '50s on a so I went up there and checked it out, and there as I got there, and I would leave my house around 11 o'clock, and then I'd make the scene around 1 or 2, because they close at around 5 o'clock in the morning. It's every night. New York's a city that really does never sleep, like Bogota, I guess. Anyway, I was dancing, and then a buddy of mine said, like pointed, like looks right next to you, and there was Truman Capote, Lee Radswell, and Jackie, and they were passing around a joint, and it was good. I could smell it. I left that part out of the story. I wasn't just dropping names. See, so back and then, as I said, I had friends, and I grew up near Brookville, Glen Cove, Long Island, Oyster Bay. A lot of my friends had a lot of money. And one day we went into one of my buddies, whose father owned a whole lot of factories. He had Mark 9 Jags, Cloud 3 Rolls Royces in the garage, a couple, a couple living on the property, Who doesn't want a couple to live on your property to do everything for you? But anyway, so his father was out of town, and we were going past his office in the house, and we went in there. Oh no, we went to the office. We were in that part of the town. We were somewhere where his father had an office, and his father wasn't there, but we went in there. And sure enough, on the desk, he opened the drawer and took out some stash because his father had weed in there. This was in 1970. So I'm just saying, the rich have always taken the pleasure because they knew physically it's better than alcohol. Physically, it's just everything about it. There's just, to me, why would you ever, where cannabis enhances your senses, everything tastes better ever than it ever did, or worse than it ever did. Where alcohol just numbs you, kills brain cells. And yet there's people in my building, there's young people I don't even talk to anymore. I was talking to them nonchalantly in the laundry room, and he said something to me. A friend of his, said, "Well, alcohol, it kills brain cells, Frank." And I said, "What? Where did you learn that? Where did you learn that?" And you see, beliefs are just thoughts you keep on thinking, and thoughts can be changed. Thoughts are cell tissue. Thoughts are cell tissue. So don't waste your energy allowance, because we do get an allotment of energy every day. Use it frugally, and don't. Why is all this happening? Reaganism, the experiment. The back then in 1980, it was Democratic Reagan Democrats. Reagan Democrats. There was a lot of Democrats, and I would say to these guys, "What are you talking about? I mean, what kind of charisma did this guy have? It was like Jim Jones or something, and everybody was drinking the Kool-Aid." And now this is it. This is the results of. And they say it's an experiment, Frank. Do you think if it's not going to work, they're going to let it? Yeah, greed. We're finding out now. Yeah, so let's get his picture down off at least the wall of the White House. There's a picture the other day of they showed Trump has the White House looking like a bordello. It's got all this gold tacky stuff all over the place, and a big picture of Ronald Reagan. No, tear that down. I should exhume his bones and rebury him face down with a stake through his heart. That's how bad. Well, Frank, how could you say that? How could I walk over the bodies that are a result of Reaganism? Everything you're doing now is Reaganism, and then of course, United Citizens United. They give it this names like Pink Puppy Dog Starving or cute little cotton candy angels. No, no, this is all I guess they figure, the American public is easier to work than a Muppet. They'll buy anything. If it feels good, sounds good, and they can have sex with it, they'll buy it. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. But we're human becomings. We're not human beings. Okay, in the center of everything here now, what I got for you is take good care of yourself. You belong to me. Yeah, this person knows intuitively how to use her creative energies now, the Queen's channel energy. And she's saying, use that fire now. Use it to join up. Mention to people when they say, what about this homeless thing? Well, blame me. Say, Psychic Frank says, look up Reagan ruined everything. And then walk away with your head looking high now because you said something right. Just say it. Reagan, 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 Reagan. You know, and justice. Justice is going to happen. Justice is happening. Excuse me. Remember, you're constantly making affirmations, whether you're saying them or thinking them. You want to put them in two tenses: I am and I have. The more you say, oh, I'm wishing, I'm hoping. The other day I was walking to the library. And I bounce off of people all over the place because I don't believe in anything in my ears or any kind of devices. And there was this young woman of color, and it was a summer hot day, and I was in a good mood, and it was last Saturday, and I said to her, because we were at the same, we were keeping the same pace, and finally we were at the same red light. And I just looked at her and I said, nice day. And she said, yeah. I said, do you live in the city? And she said, yeah. I said, I'm on TV tonight at 7:30 on Channel 29 if you have Comcast. And she said, yeah, I don't, but I said, I have a YouTube channel. She goes, what's the name of your show? And I said, Psychic Frank. And oh boy, she started it and going on about Donald Trump, this and that. And I listened to her for a minute. Then we crossed the street and I looked at her and I said, well, victims don't heal. Oh boy, you calling me a victim? And I said, well, this is happening for us, not to us. I said, and I turned and I said, don't watch my show, please. It'll only make you a lot more angry. And I just kept on walking there, but as I said, I've been shouting out that for so long because there's no way for me to talk to the public. Nobody seems to email me. I don't get any reaction like I used to get when we were on Potrero Hill, and I'd say, you're on the phone with Psychic Frank, and people would talk to me, and I could do a reading for them. Well, we don't have any phones hooked up, because I believe Gory Lori sat in this chair only because we had no phones. If they had told him, oh, you'll be taking calls from the public, do you think he would have sat here and people would have called in and said, hey, what about the 12 people that gave you $100,000 each? That's $120,000, man. That's like a lottery win, isn't it? Or what about the FBI, whole investigation on you for this, and this? You think he was going to put his whole, he had too much writing on. So okay, you hoodwinked us. You got in there, so we're stuck with you for the next 4 years. God help us. I don't believe. in 2 years they're gonna probably impeach you, because I think next year things are, by the end of this time next year, you'll people will know I'm right. I know that. So there. Okay. You know, no, but you're insulting our intelligence. I may not have money, good looks, this or that, but you know what? I got my heart, I got love, I got my brain. Every morning, a lot of times I'll listen to Pearlie, Melba Moore, and she sings "I Got Love" from the Broadway. I'm a Broadway. I like Broadway. I love Broadway. Okay, what's over our head now? Cut to the chase. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. We gotta stand up now. We can't be blasé. Yeah, the young people, they want to dance and spend money. Do it out by the ocean. Do it in the ocean, but don't do it downtown. People are working hard to keep a roof over their head. Let them enjoy it on the goddamn weekend, okay? Yeah, show how much I love myself. Therefore, I live in an environment that respects, sure, there's a thin line between vitality and sadistic noise. So let's not match that energy. Let's keep our heart on our sleeve and look for love. Just spread love all over the place. Love your. Where's the Christian thing about forgiveness and love your enemies? Yeah, I'd love him with a 2x4. No, I'm just saying that's most people's attitude. No, no, I have nothing but love for Donald. You think I like? He's deteriorating. He's had a, he does, he, I'm not, I'm not a sick man. I'm a healer. I know exactly, it's pathetic. And what's ahead for him is, can't be good. Yeah, I love everybody. There's nobody on this planet I don't love. I'm not condoning what they're doing at all, and as I said, I've never had a gun. I never would have a gun. And if someone says, it's you or them, well, I believe in eternity. This was just my time. Yeah, I'm in no rush, and I would miss my parrot. But as I said, anyway, enough of my little philosophizing there. The base of everything now is temperance, and we're growing up now. It's time to walk like a man, like Donald Obama said. Stand, and plant yourself deeper now. No, no, no. I will not be moved. All my friends who are in the know saying it's get a lot worse with the martial law thing. Well, it takes what it takes to wake up, but let's realize too that life is full of unexpected, wonderful surprises. And waking up doesn't have to be a nightmare. Once you get it and you realize this is happening for me, not to me, it all changes. That's why I said so freely to people, victims don't heal. I wasn't spoiling for a fight. I wanted to help the girl. I was going to say no, because I could see she was angry, and anger going to get you. It'll get you. There's just no two ways about it. What's ahead for us now? See, this card isn't about the driver, it's about the vehicle. We're getting a whole new way of going now. Yeah, the whole thing about gas now, we're going to go solar, it's going to happen. I believe we're going to have extraterrestrial help. I believe these cigar things are going on are extraterrestrials. But we're extraterrestrials. We're as far out of space as we're ever going to get. Um, Bottom of the stamp of life is get in touch with your true identity. Your true, for real age is mine's around 18 going on 20, but everybody's different. Most people are around 29. That's their eternal age. when they leave their bodies and they see themselves on the other side, they usually say, "Oh, I caught myself in the mirror and I look just like I did when I was." And I've said that so many times when I do readings for people who have said goodbye to their body. Okay, our hopes and fears are things that are just going to come in. Well, we live in a mystical world. That's the whole thing now. Science hates when people say that, but it is a mystical universe. Those that don't heal simply don't have the schooled imagination it takes to heal. And what we're hopes and fears are all about here is doing without, and these new opportunities. If we would stop the industrial pharmaceutical companies and all that, the alternative healing, we could really make the city like the lords of the United States. People would come here for people who are expert healers now. Like a lot of people I work on, and they go, "How do people find you? You're amazing." And no humility, people from out of town, and they're in town, and somebody says, "Oh, before you leave, you got to see Frank." I'm like another roadside attraction. There's many, many of us here. I'm in Hayes Valley. If anybody wants to send me an email. All I have to do is walk out the front door of the building I live in, and we could talk. If you want to get together as healers, you want to get together and unite against anything that's going on now that involves promoting love and nonviolent psychic and the promotion of that psychic cannabis is a healing substance. Um, okay, well, I'll be back in 2 weeks. I guess my time here is gone. And I'll be back to, I would love to keep this time slot. I love being here on a Saturday morning. And let me pick a couple more cards. I have a few more minutes here. So yeah, if you want to get in touch with me, psychicfrank11 at gmail.com, my YouTube channel, and this show will probably be uploaded by tomorrow. Anything else my friends need to hear? So as I said, whenever people, and I'm sure when people, you can't go any now where people, you're crossing the street and you see some man, woman, child, or whatever atrocity going on, and they look at you and just look at them and say, Reaganism, Reaganism. It's gonna happen like that. People have to start throwing that word around. Reaganism, Reaganism. This is what we're living. We're living with the results of what Ronald Reagan did. They couldn't stand that the middle class was the biggest it had ever been. People could take a vacation. They they could live on one job, a whole family, buy a house, a new car every 4 years. It was literally the beginning of the American dream, and that scared the shit out of the bad guys. And they stuck their fingers in, nothing was trickling out, and they say, yeah, it's all, but it's racism. It's racism. They couldn't stand that black people were living like white folks. That really, really pissed them off. I know that because I was coming up and I was a white. I lived. I had friends. Yeah, yeah. That's why they wouldn't let him in the neighborhood. Charlie Bond was it? Charlie. It was all in the family. Okay, where we're feeling about ourselves is don't focus on anything. Don't focus on what you don't want. Keep on saying now. Frank was right. This is happening for us. It takes what it takes to wake the masses up, but ask for divine help and pray for yourself. Please, so many people are too humble to pray for themselves. Get over that. Get over it. Temperance. Christ will give us strength to help us so we don't lose heart along the way. Christ will give us strength so we don't lose heart along the way. Temperance. See, the tempered steel is stronger steel. We stay grounded in the subconscious and the conscious. I don't just listen to God. I commune with forces for good. Yeah. Oh, okay. Before we go, I got to read this card for you. I was hoping it would come up. It's the Hierophant, the Five, and this book by Holmes, Linda Holmes, says the, and we'll end with that because somebody's really is going to come in here soon, and I don't want to hog up all the time. And it says the Hierophant is a great teacher of the tarot, invites us to be closer to the divine through the spiritual lineage of learning. That lineage could pass down through normal study. If you get, and then it says, you will always know more than someone and less than someone about any topic you study. Yeah, you will always know more than someone and less than someone about any topic you study. In the pursuit of spiritual and magical knowledge, it is very important to remember this. No matter how much you study and learn and practice, there will always be more mystery in the universe. Think of it as like being in a permanent student teacher. You know enough to teach others, but yet you still have more to learn. When the Hierophant appears on your path, things are about to get serious. There is a focus on prioritizing the things in your life that are most in alignment with your spirituality. This can be a wonderful time of self-love and acceptance. I love myself, that way, therefore I refuse to live in terror. See, when people fear the government, there's tyranny. When the government fears the people, there's there's liberty. We gotta cut our heads together and get like more of these love fests going on, more literally tone down the noise so people can communicate and use these beautiful parks like Patricia Green Park and all these other areas where people can't even sit and have a goddamn conversation with someone they haven't seen in a while because of the goddamn noise. Yeah, yeah, you heard that. That's not a Prozac. I'm not on Prozac. Yeah, I emphasize the God in goddamn, So goddamn Nina Simone, goddamn the Pusher Man. Well, goddamn anybody is promoting, what they call them, the vultures. The vultures, the corporate venture capitalists, excuse me. You come in to, finish off what London Breed did. Let's get back to departments. Be a lot of people who loved working for that Department of Noise Reduction. Let's start giving fines to the people across the street from me who spit in my face and everybody in my neighborhood. And you try to tell me that the police are. There's got to be the only reason. In the last 10 years, these people have violated any kind of, even when they said there was as we stand now, there's a noise quota. I don't know. The police don't carry around these pieces of equipment that count the decibels. But if you could hear these speakers made for stadiums, and it's not even like it's halfway decent music. It's this German national oop shit. Yeah, 5 hours of that, and you'd be suicidal. This is what Hayes Valley's living through. So yeah, don't don't shit where I sleep. You see what I'm saying? Capiche? Capiche? Well, I hope you had as much fun as I did. Hey, I love you guys. I love you no matter what color, shape, or whatever religion you're in. I just love everybody, and I'll be back. Love is it. That's all there is. It's not schmaltzy sentimentality. It's the ultimate reality. Love, love, love. Don't waste your life. What I say, people are always, it's all about them. It's all for me. It's all for myself. There is no self. You're in for a rude awakening when you leave this planet. When you leave Earth School, you realize, oh my God, we're all one. What did the vegan hot dog vendor? What did the guy say to the Tibetan Buddhist monk say to the hot dog vendor? Make me one with everything. We are one with everything. So, take care. That's me laying on the street that you're walking over. And it's not complicated. It's Reaganism. Pass the word. I love you. Okay, here we go. Bye. So long.